Hi everyone, and thank you for being here with me today. Diane here. I couldn't make up my mind again, you know, as usual, what I was going to do in the studio this morning. So I'm not going to paint pumpkins. I've already done that. If you want to see me painting pumpkins in my style, there is a video which I'll link to in the description below, which I did a year or two ago. They seem to be trending at the moment, but I don't know. I can't get excited about pumpkins today. Maybe I will tomorrow. But anyway, I did this morning just to try it out, and I thought it would be quite fun to put some cobwebs between the pumpkins and so on, and you could put leaves and stuff behind, and it's quite nice with the background. So, you know, there's an idea for you if you want some inspiration this morning and you do feel like painting pumpkins, which I might do tomorrow. Well, I might feel like it. I might not do it, but I might. Anyway. What was I going to say? Yeah, okay, so I've done a couple of things, and I think I might do 2 paintings this morning. It's possible I might. We'll see how it goes. I'm running fairly early today, so I'll put that to one side. This little floor, I did this and I did this, and I thought this is on hot press paper. This is the same idea, and that's how it came out on cold press paper. Interesting, isn't it? I thought that was quite pretty. So I might have another go at doing that for you today with you. And then the other one that I was going to do, this is also on hot press, because I thought it would be a good idea to try out this new texture of paper. But of course you can do it on cold press if you don't have any hot press. And I do want to say about this, this is MEEDEN hot press. It's not as smooth as a lot of the hot pressed papers that you do find out there. So don't be intimidated by the idea. Your paint is not going to slide off at the slightest breeze. It's not going to be uncontrollable. It's not that shiny. It's quite okay. And I'm going to, I think, use the MEEDEN paints. It's this set here, which you can get for about $16. If you go to meedenart.com and use our code Diane10, you will get 10% off. That's an unlimited offer. They've also got something going on Instagram at the moment where you can get free postage, because they're going to be introducing a small charge, I think a $5 charge for the postage if it's an order under $40. So that you can get a token or anyway, I'll talk about that later. I don't want to bore you with these things at the moment. So I'll put that aside, and that's what I'm going to use. And I've got them laid out, all 24 of them, in this palette, which is like the Stephen Quiller one, actually. It's very similar. It could be called a rip-off, but this is also by MEEDEN. And I think I'm going to do this. Now, this painting was it's just, you know, whatever. We don't produce works of art here. We spend our time transferring paint from here to here and trying to make something nice in the meantime. That's my goal anyway. And I'm never quite sure how things can turn out. But this is what I'm going to start with as my starting point for today. And it is Inktober month at the moment. So we're doing things like things with ink. And I wanted to show you this, which is, this is sometimes In's work. My daughter, she's very good at doing Zentangles, and this is one she did last night. And I try to do them, but I'm nowhere near as good as she is. So I thought you might like to see that. And if you want to be a bit more relaxed about your Zentangles, you can do animals like this, which I thought is quite fun too. And maybe I'll have a go at doing something like that later on. But yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? I'll show you mine, which are nowhere near the same. Absolutely, completely not. This is the first one I ever did. And I'm not very good at following rules, so I'm going to try harder. I really am. So that was my first one. That was my second one. And these are great to do for Inktober if you fancy doing pen and ink work like you're supposed to, black and white for Inktober. That was one I never finished. I think that went wrong. And this one got a bit closer to where you're supposed to be. So practice makes perfect, you know. You have to start somewhere And yeah, that was that. And then that one, yeah, that's also mine. And oh yeah, and then this is more my style. So you can go anywhere with this idea. That it's just doodling, really, at the end of the day, isn't it? And that one was last night. I think I was feeling a bit heavy-handed. I was actually using a different pen, and I think the pen was too thick. So that was not good. And then I went to that, and I was on the phone last night when I was trying to do that, and that obviously didn't work either. So a blank page for today. We'll see where that goes. Okay, you see my innermost secrets of failure after failure after failure. Let's get started on this. I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to pick up a paintbrush. I've got one of my Diane Antone Craftmo brushes here. I decided when I chose my brushes to be made by Craftmo to do the opposite to what some people have done. For example, Emma Lefebvre. Nothing wrong with what she did, of course there isn't. But I did the opposite. She went for short hairs on her brushes. I've gone for long hairs. She went for short hairs to get more control. I've gone for long hairs to get rid of the control, because that's the way I prefer to paint. So everyone to their own, you know, it's all okay. It's just, I think, you know, you can't please all the people all the time, can you? So if you can please some of the people some of the time, you're doing well. So let's pick up some beige and sit down and slow down. And this is a piece of, what is it? Paper, 10 by 7 MEEDEN hot press. So let's just draw a line. And let's draw another line. And then what I did on this one, I just picked up all sorts of different colours to do the leaves. So each leaf I painted with a long-haired brush, this one, and I just picked up a colour and mixed another colour into it and then just let it go. And it didn't really matter what colour it was. So I'm going to try and do the same thing again. And I love the way when you touch the paint, the damp paint goes into the, you know, the line that you made. It's good, isn't it? Make that one a bit bigger. And if you have some of this hot press paper, you'll find, what was I going to say? Yeah, it's nice and smooth to paint on. That's what I was going to say. Add a little bit of water to get it lighter. It's drying out a bit, so let's put a bit of blue to make it kind of grayer. See how that runs? Go back to the red. You can either grow your leaves from the top down, or you can grow them from the branch out. It's up to you. Do both ways. So you can put a little stem. It's not running so well now because it's drier, but that doesn't matter. So we're just painting for the heck of it. So there we have a kind of mixture of sort of autumny colours, I think you could say. And I'm going to go back to this one and make it wet again because the stem has dried. So just come in again with a bit more water And it doesn't matter if it's not straight. Now this one I'm going to do in browns. So this is pinks. So we do browns here. Brown, 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 brown. But always break it. Always break the brown, whatever colour you're starting with. Break it with something. Add some pink. Add some blue. Add some yellow. Just anything. Add it. Add some purple. And you'll change the colour, but it will be sympathetic. I don't like painting from a tin of paints because you can't do this. You need a palette to mix on. You need to be able to mix the paints as you go along. And yes, you can more or less see what I'm doing. You don't need to keep the paints separate. You know, you don't need a divided palette. A palette like this is perfectly fine. It doesn't need to be divided into squares. In fact, in my opinion, it's better if it isn't, because you can just, you know, drag the colours together. If you want to make a grey, you know, perfect. So you don't need those barriers. I don't like barriers, ever, any kind. I believe in a barrier-free world. Okay, so that's 2 of those. And then what I did last time, I picked up some red and some blue, probably, and I made some purple to do some berries. And I'm going to start over this side because if I go over there, I'll, you know, smudge it. So we'll just put in some berries and we'll vary the colours a little bit. So use some of the pink that I'd mixed while I was doing the leaves. And then we'll attach the berries to some stalks. They don't need to be perfectly round. They're better really if they're a little bit erratic. Okay, and then a bit more over here. We can put some here. They can touch in places and not touch in other places. What I usually do is just put in a few, and then when I start to join them together, I add more wherever I feel it needs them. Okay, so you turn that round this way and add a little bit more red perhaps. Put a few up here. Try not to touch on. Hold the brush further along so I don't touch the painting. Okay, and if you want to make them a little bit darker, you can always drop a little bit more paint in, but don't need to. When it's dry, I'm going to put veins and things in. So I think I'll probably grab my hair dryer and just dry that off. So that's dry now, and continuing on, I could just go in with my brush here. This is a Fudenasuke Tombow soft brush nib. It has a kind of thick and thin ability. I could start doing the veins and outlines and things, but I think before I do that, I'm going to do what I did here, first of all, which is to put some lines in the background as if I was doing something like neurographic art, and just put in some lines like that, and then just draw in some leaves using my pen, which I will then afterwards colour in. And we're not going to worry too much about the shape of the leaves. To quote our friend what's her name? Jada Campbell. Jada does the crochet, that's somebody else. Perfectly imperfect, yes. So whatever comes to mind is what you want to do. And so that's that. And let's have another one over here. And I'm putting them behind, right? I'm not going over the first part of the painting. I'm going behind, and they're going to be, on this side, they're going to be skinny, thin leaves. If I can make my clumsy hands do that. And just scatter them around. And then we want one in the middle here somewhere, just going up behind. Pen works really well on smooth paper, so the hot press is quite good for that. Okay, and then I was going to suggest that it would be a good idea to just fill them in. So I'm going to fill them in this time with a sort of mauve, kind of off purple. Last time I think I did them with more of a brown. Doesn't matter, obviously, because we're breaking away from realism here. We're starting with nature as our impulse, our inspiration, and then we are breaking away from realism, trying to depict nature exactly, and going into a world of our own. So I'm going to add now a little bit more colour, enhancing these leaves with another second layer of paint, just in places, so similar to what's underneath. So if it's a purpley brush leaf, then it's going to get a purpley top coat. So this one is pinkish, so it's going to get pinkish. And then we've got something greenish there. Yeah, so we'll put something greenish. Otherwise, if you go for a different opposite, you're going to get grey all the time. So if it's pinkish, you add pink. If it's bluish or purplish, you add purple. If it's reddish, you add red tones. And then you won't get grey. And down here we've got the browns, so we'll go for different shades of brown just to add more interest. Just put it anywhere. Doesn't have to be anything particular because you're going to go over it in pen in a minute anyway. Just give it a bit more depth. And then we could also, if you want, make these a little bit darker, just in one side, just on one side where the shadow would be. These ones are already quite dark, so just improve their shape a little bit if you want. You could make them much rounder if you wanted to. Okay, so now what I need to do is to dry that. Of course, there are many different ways in which you could continue on from here, and it's going to be up to you how you feel about what to do next. You could continue with the black pen and do outlines on all of the leaves like this, or you could embellish them with different patterns and so on and so forth, or you could use white, or you could come in with gold. Anything is possible, and lots of those things we've already done, and we'll no doubt do again. But I think today what I feel like doing, just for the heck of it, a lot of people seem to be talking about these watercolor pens at the moment, watercolor brush pens. And I have a set of 96 Poetique watercolor brush pens, and I use them quite a lot. They're really good for sketching because if you have enough colors, you can, and they do blend on the paper. So they're really good to have, and they come in smaller sets as well. If you just want to try them out, you can get a set of 18 or, I don't know, a dozen or 24 or something, I don't know. But they start in smaller sets than 96. I know there's a 48, there must be a 24. Yeah, so I thought I might use this. This one is, the colour is Bitter Chocolate, and I'm just going to use it to give me some definition on my paint here. So we can put in some lovely fine veins because these ones, can't speak for all brush pens, but this particular make, is the only one I've ever used, has very nice point to the brush. So you can get nice fine lines if you want them, and you can also get significantly darker effects by pressing harder like that. So you can vary what you do as you go around your painting. And some people think that you have to use these in a specific way, but I think they have lots of possibilities. And I've already used them quite a lot, and I'm going to continue because I like them better than I thought I would. They do fade though. So just to warn you, I did a painting of sunflower using them, the first thing I did. And by the end of the summer, it had faded away completely. Luckily, I'd taken a photo of it. I'd put it into digital form. And that's the thing, that's what you can do. It's what you need to do. So don't expect them. They'll be fine for things like greetings cards where it's not something that you are going to have on display. And if you keep it in a drawer, of course, away from light, it won't fade, but they do fade in the light. Whatever they might tell you, and I'm not saying they do say that they're light proof, they probably don't, because they aren't. So we're just doing this and giving it some nice shaky character. It's one thing about being either a beginner or getting older. The things that make paintings interesting, in my opinion, are the irregularities, the shakiness, the mistakes, if you like. I'm not one for perfection. It's just as well, really. I'm a long way from being perfect. So, okay, so that's that one. I think I might go around the outside edge of that as well. Let's keep them nice and irregular. And then for this, I need a dark pinky colour, don't I, really? I think. What have I got here? It's a sort of reddish, that'll do. Because when it goes, oh no, it might be a bit too red. It might be a bit too red. Let's have a look. I've got them in this drawer here. All of my whole set is in here. Let's see, what's this one? That's a lighter brown, I think that'll probably do. Let's see. How does that vary from that one? Yeah, that's much lighter, so that'll be okay. Okay, so we'll carry on around here. Try to vary it as much as possible. Because the eye likes things to be interesting, doesn't it? Repetition is boring to the eye. We're always looking for movement. The eye depends on movements. likes to roam. Put a little bit more colour in some parts of the stem. So parts of it are going to be darker, parts of it lighter. This one hasn't got any form yet, so I stick some lines in there. Okay, and then we just add some more shadow onto these leaves a little bit. And we could, if you feel unhappy with the irregular berries, you can just, using the pen, it's much easier than using the brush. Just come in and don't make them all perfectly round. Just you could sort of even them out a little bit. You might want to put another couple in, even in, you know, whatever, in the background like that. Okay, so let's make some shadows on here and behind. Doesn't matter if it goes off the side. That's what you want, really. Okay, so then at this point, what I did last time, I came in with a background wash, and you could do that. All I did was I just picked up whatever colour was on my palette and I just sploshed it in the background. But I think I probably won't do that here. I'm just thinking though what I do need, and I haven't quite finished yet, I'm going to put in another branch here. That's better. And we'll just paint that quickly with the Pertique to match in with the rest. So there we are. We could put a little bit more down here too, but probably a couple of berries, or maybe, yeah, let's just, that's better. I'll put a link in the description below to these Pertique pens if you're interested in getting some for yourself. A lot of people are doing, like I say, a lot of people are doing sketches using them, and they look like watercolor. They do. They look a lot like watercolor unless you've used them and then you know that they're not watercolor. Okay, so there we are. That's that. And that was quite pleasant and passed the time. And just to finish this one off, I'm going to pick up some very light mauve, and I'm just going to put in a few spatters. I think spatters have gone out of fashion, but that's fine. I think a few spatters would probably finish this off quite nicely. As an alternative, you can put in this background wash, but I've decided I will do that. So that's very quick and easy. You don't have to make a big song and dance about putting in spatters. You just pick up your paint and then you just tap the brush. If you have one of these nice long ones that I'm going to be offering you, it works a bit like a rigger and it does a very good job of spattering. I'll just show you again on another one actually. So if you have this, you just tap like that, and lo and behold, you have wonderful spatters, which you can just dab off as well. Gone. No sweat. So that's that. Next thing, what was I going to say? If you want, you could still add some more dark lines if you feel it needs it on some of these leaves. Some of them would probably benefit from some shadow areas underneath. You can sharpen up the shapes a bit if you feel like you want to. And apart from that, I think we're probably finished. So I might add a few more darks to this after I stop recording. When it's completely dry, I might not. So if you notice a few little differences, don't worry. All it is this. I might put a few darks on here perhaps from here and there. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe. Turn on notifications so that you hear when we put up a new video. And don't forget, we have sketches of most of our drawings, most of our paintings on our website, dianeantone.com. Just pop over there. They're all free. Although if you feel like giving us a donation for our work, we're more than happy to receive that. That's what keeps the wolf from the door, as they say. And you could join Patreon if you want to support us that way. And there are various perks to joining Patreon. And you can also join us here on YouTube. We have membership as well. So you can go to my homepage on YouTube here, and where it says join, if you click on there, it takes you through to the joining page. And membership starts at $3 a month or something like that. And for that, you get a few perks, some freebies on Patreon and also on YouTube to use on our website. And also, the main thing about Patreon for us, everybody who has Patreon, by the way, all the different artists or anyone that does Patreon, it's up to us to decide what we want to offer. So you won't necessarily get the same things on my Patreon, I've been meaning to say this for a while, as you do on other people's. For example, people like Ellen Crimmy Trent, she has a completely different set of offerings on her Patreon to what we do. And because it's up to us to decide what we want to offer. Patreon originally started as somewhere for people to support artists in their creative journey. And there wasn't really anything much in the way of perks. And people were doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And they still are. I know a lot of you support us on there, even though you're not really bothered about the perks that we offer. And that we really appreciate very much. Yes. Anyway, just so that you know that you won't necessarily get the same perks that you would get with a different artist. We all do our own thing. If you have any questions, don't forget you can always contact me on studio@dianeantone.com by email. And I always try to answer those emails as quickly as I possibly can. I do answer questions on YouTube, but I don't always get all of them. Sometimes I miss them, and there are a lot. So if you have an important question, do contact me like I say, by email. Things get lost in YouTube sometimes. Okay, so I've now enhanced this quite a bit with the black pen, and I think that's probably enough to be going on with. And so I'll probably let you go now, if you haven't already gone. And thank you very much for being here, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed that. And watch out for another long video coming up soon. So, there we are. One autumnal sprig of leaves. I think that needs a bit more colour there. Yes. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.